In today's episode of the Pathmark Presents podcast, I have an interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Mike Phillips, and he's hailing over as the Senior Growth Marketing Manager over at 12twenty. And at 12twenty, they are basically in a very interesting space. They're in the early career hiring space. It's a very unique angle. We obviously had, a whole bunch of, HR and hiring solutions on the platform, and there's very interesting growth strategies, but we're looking at a very particular angle here today with 12twenty. So, Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So maybe give us a quick overview, right? What is 12twenty all about in your own words?
Sure. So at 12twenty, we made early career hiring better for everyone. We're the only deep data, but also privacy obsessed early career talent platform. We streamlined the processes and the experiences that are part of hiring for students and alumni, for their universities, and for employers, so they can effortlessly find the right fit employment connections.
Very short, very succinct, very clear. Now tell us a little bit about the organizations that benefit the most. You have obviously two sides here, right? We have employers, we got sort of the educational institutions. Tell us maybe a bit about both sides and how they benefit from 12twenty.
Sure. So we began as a 12twenty exclusively serving universities. And so graduating or recently graduated scholars want the right offer for the right job, but they need reliable information to take confident action in their job search. Their universities want the students and alumni to be prepared for their future professional lives holistically, but career centers are struggling to productively harness data from outcomes and to manage employer relationships and honestly keep their students engaged. So employers on the other side want to hire and retain the best quality and honestly most diverse talent, but they need proper tools to recruit them efficiently and competitively. So what we did is we've built a platform that solves all of these problems with a modern and data-powered interface, and it really does fix a lot of these early frustrations for early career hiring. Mm-hmm. So to go deeper, really, we work fundamentally as a technology platform, as a data-driven organization. So we build deep data insights that have helped students with salary negotiations, successfully closing gender wage gaps at major universities. We've secured better outcomes for graduating cohorts at top collegiate programs, and that's what the universities care about. They want really strong outcomes for their students. And we've taken diversity, equity, and inclusion hiring initiatives for employers, and we've moved them from aspiration to reality for many companies.
Yeah, that is very clear. Now, tell us about the organizations. How do they work, like the employers? How do they sort of, touch base with 12twenty? How do they directly benefit from it?
Sure. So the two sides of the business benefit off of a foundational founding principle. We were founded by our two founders to work with the college scorecard requirements that came about in 2008 era. The idea then was that colleges have to provide reporting that show that there is a reasonably good ROI for their students. It's a terrible mess to manage all this data. The schools that don't use 12twenty are usually mired in multiple spreadsheets and then the bureaucracy of who owns the data. By streamlining the process of getting outcome results from students, employers are able to benefit from this insight. When employers use our tool, they get two things. They get exclusive access to an audience of highly engaged, very qualified talent from top university programs. We're talking undergrad, but also engineering, law, MBA programs, the best programs in the world. We do serve international universities. These employers are looking to hire either interns or early career permanent hires, and getting access to them is challenging. Oftentimes, platforms say they have millions upon millions of students, but many of them are unsubscribed or not following emails or not behaving actively in the platform. They also, honestly, if you're trying to hire from the top 25 MBA programs or the top 15 law programs, those students, their career centers job boards are a white labeled 12twenty platform. So how you access these students is through the employer portal that brings you to the same audience. other than access and other than being able to have people who are actively searching and maintaining their profiles, you can do what's called a global candidate search. And our recruiters are able to go in and say, I would like students who are interested in working in person in Boston, who have 3 years of work experience and an MBA. You can find them, and let's say they're they're going to school in New York, but they'll be graduated in time for your job offer and they desire to live in Boston. That's something you would have to ask someone before, and that's fairly inefficient compared to being able to search. And then on top of that, they also self-volunteer diversity demographic data. And the benefit there, because it's self-voluntary, is you can find otherwise brilliantly qualified, high-quality talent that meet your diversity goals. If you want to find MBA students who are female, you can find them and make sure that your pool of prospective interviewees represents your diversity hiring goals to give a fair shot. And the result there is that the DE&I initiatives are no longer aspirations, they're turning into job offers extended. So that's how the employers experience the platform. There's a whole lot of deep recruiting insights as well that we make available. So if they want to know, are their offers competitive? Are students from this school considering the type of agency or the type of employer you are? The sort of stuff that you wouldn't know and you'd be going in blind and maybe offering a salary that's too low or too high, or you're not reaching out to the right cohorts of students at the right time of the year. All of these things make hiring better for employers.
Very interesting. So that also actually, that's shine through that, the website, for example, that you guys have has to probably cater to both, right? The career centers, yes. the employers. Maybe tell us a little bit about how do they both of those groups find you today? Like, what are the sort of the key client acquisition channels? Obviously, considering the Pathmonk podcast is running for a while, we know educational space is notoriously an outbound driven space. But maybe tell us a little bit about the channels that you guys are exploring.
Sure. Yes. So, I mean, historically, we've grown by focusing relentlessly on very strong university partnerships. It's a tight-knit group. There's about 6,000 universities and colleges in North America. Many of them already know each other. So this Career Center leadership tend to provide a lot of referrals, references, word of mouth marketing for us. And that was fueling the early growth of our university division. And it is still the foundational cornerstone of our company, this university partnership. But this is kind of accelerated by building really deep relationships with champions. And we've had, beyond just conversations, people who have voluntarily come on board as advocates or providing testimonials, and in industry forums, making excellent recommendations for us. That was our early growth channel. So a lot of the dark social channels that happen out there, people who would send our link through a Slack channel and somebody clicks on it. And now from a growth market perspective, I see direct traffic coming inbound, but we see, the share of voice out there taking place in the National Association of College and Employers forum for Career Center administrators. So very interesting that historically it was outbound sales, yes, for universities, but we've moved into this era of dark social, like so many have, these unattributable touch points that take place informally outside of a dedicated campaign. And this is only extended into our employer audience too. The difference with employers is that we have a whole lot more education that takes place in that space. Oftentimes we are being categorized as an applicant tracking system, an ATS, which we are fundamentally a companion platform for an ATS. We integrate with so many of them, but our function is different. And so that education is coming into the fore as a major section of how we're going to be acquiring new business.
How do you then think about the website? Like, what role do you think the website plays for 12twenty?
The website is a huge cornerstone of where I'm beginning to focus. And again, like I said, I've been on board here for this company about 4 months, and first fiscal quarter coming in the banks here. And so one of the things that I am looking to do, and the thing that I see websites do really well, is they kind of form a real hub for all of the content and the messaging that will disseminate either through social selling or through dark social channels, through ads, through email. I envision websites continuing to evolve in relevance as far as a hub and spoke model of content. Our longer form content can live on a website. It can attract organic inbound traffic. It can also just be a place where ungated assets can live, where people who can, whether they're discovered organically or through these referrals that we're learning about in the association forums, or a doodle put on the back of a business card and passed at a trade show, a Slack message. I see the website facilitating these unique customer journeys. So what you see on our website today is the beginning of that framework. We really have sub home pages for each of the types of beneficiaries who can buy our platform. There is 12twenty for career centers, for alumni offices, which is a niche within the university segment, and for employers. And each page that goes to is essentially a new home site, like a website within our website. Our enterprise has a homepage that discusses who we are and what we do and why we're doing it. But we want to make sure that each type of audience can easily navigate and find the most relevant information for them. And that goes from top level education all the way down to deeper content, to case studies, social proof, and then eventually conversion for demo.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, you mentioned conversion there. Over the years, obviously you relatively recently joined 12twenty, but over the years prior to that, you were a brand strategist, digital brand strategist, for example. What have you learned when it comes to conversions on the website? Any approaches, methods, tools that you find to be helpful?
Yeah, there's a lot to learn. There was definitely a lot that I picked up there. And it's interesting, even in the last, I would say, 5 to 10, things have changed. 5 to 10 years, things have evolved significantly. Early on, it was really about kind of a linear model of the more at bats, the more top of the funnel volume that you would bring in, that made a huge difference. And then you would try to fight for small percentages increases in your conversion rates, usually through A/B testing, through other creative or messaging. Now things are a lot more buyer centric, rather than being seller centric. So a lot of times the most effective things for conversion that I've learned about are listening to our customers. That's a core value of the company here at 12twenty, but more than just saying, oh, we listen to our customers, we take care of them from a customer service perspective. The customers will give you the things that they are frustrated with. They will share in their own words the status quo inertia they fight against, or the pain that they deal with day to day. That language is more effective than any clever copywriting that you can come up with to position certain educational pieces or comparison pieces about what it is that you offer. For an example, our university career center admins, they often have trouble, in their words, chasing around students to respond to surveys. If I offer a solution so they can stop chasing around students, they're going to relate to that and see exactly what the benefit is that we're offering. And again, it's not about converting more as in tricking people to convert more. It's about earning that conversion more. And that only comes from truly understanding your customers and building what they want after listening to them very carefully.
That makes a whole lot of sense. As we're slowly moving towards the end of the interview, I would like to sort of launch into our rapid fire questions to get to know you and your journey a little bit better. Are you ready for those? They're a little bit of surprise questions, but they're harmless.
Okay, I'm ready.
What's the last book you read or the last podcast you listened to?
The last podcast I listened to, that's easy, was Stacking Growth, put by Refine Labs. And the book I'm in the middle of right now is Crossing the Chasm. It's on my shelf over there.
Mm-hmm. What's one single thing your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Right now, we are focused on making sure people understand how powerful the deep data insights are for changing meaningful outcomes for early career hiring. We're literally closing gender wage gaps. We're literally increasing efficiency for hiring, and we're getting students better, more meaningful careers. That is what motivates us, and that's the number one thing to focus on.
If there would be no boundaries in tech, right? You could basically, wave a magic wand and fix anything you could in the marketing function. What's the one thing that you would, fix for your role?
Bandwidth. if there was no limitations, I would love to access more people or more efficiency or more skill sets, so that we could just bring more of the quality education to the world. More often than not, our customers have this moment, and every time we demonstrate with them, they are floored by what we can do. They said, if only I'd known about this before, I would have talked to you guys sooner. And I feel like that's on me as the marketer. And my goal would be, the more that I can get those key messages out there earlier, that would be the magic wand moment for me.
Now, I would love to, get back to sort of, formal education, right? Let's say you're heading out of, formal education. Let's say take Rochester, right? Institute of Technology. You're heading out of formal education into the world of business and growth, and you've had very different initial experiences as well. What's the one advice that you would give yourself for your journey?
You need to have a mindset for growth and see that every encounter that you have, every new challenge is not an obstacle, but a moment of education. So I've always believed that when you have challenges, or you have struggles, or you have everything from career pivots to new workplace challenges, a growth mindset is so critical. Being able to see an obstacle as proof of the challenge and pain as proof of progress, not something to overcome and leave behind. For me, that change, whether it's in your personal career or in business, it was so important, because there will always be struggles, right? If you are working in creating content, or if you are lifting weights, anything that you are doing, the weight doesn't get lighter, you get stronger. Creating content doesn't get easier, you get better at it. All of these things are the same mindset, that you need to be able to approach the twists and the turns of whatever path in your career or challenge in your business you're experiencing, with an embracing of the friction, or an embracing of the seeming roadblocks. Because only by steeping in it can you learn from it and become more equipped to better overcome those in the future.
That's a great angle. I mean, to have the obstacles rather as a proof of growth rather than having to overcome them. That's super, super interesting. Very cool, Mike. I really appreciate you joining us today in Passmonk's Presents podcast. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about 1220 today, what's the last one thing people should remember?
The most important thing about who we are is that 1220 is wielding deep data insights from unique university relationships that is fundamentally changing how early career hiring works. We make student outcome reporting completely hassle-free, and that produces data that provides job seekers and employers with data that's already, for real people, for real businesses, successfully making a move, moving the needle in diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. It is a calling that we are serving, to be able to make, for incredible professionals, not just the fact that getting a job is trying to help them is getting a statement of support. It's about making sure that people who are eminently qualified, exceptional people, are connected with exceptional opportunities. And that reality is why we say that we're making early career hiring better for everyone. It's for employers and universities, yes, but it's also for all of the individual people that are touched by real opportunity, that moves from opportunity to reality when they have the right data, the right insights to take the right actions.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Passmonk Presents.